So something I've come across so many times in practice and that we've had to deal with in practice is when we have clients who are taking cash from their retirement funds, whether they resign or whether they retire or they were retrenched for whatever reason, and they were told they're going to pay X amount of tax, and then it turns out that it's completely different. So you can either take chances or you can sort of make sure about your facts, because doing the calculation up front is one thing. Having all of the information, I don't know about you, but I can't remember when I took money, how much I took, where I took it from, or any of that. And we think that clients would remember, but they don't. So now we add on the new two-pot system, and you can have saving spot withdrawals. Or component withdrawals rather. We throw that into the mix and it just becomes more and more complicated. And here's the other truth. Can we still ignore tax today when we are doing planning for clients? So I'm really looking forward to an interesting discussion today around all of this and give you some solutions of how you can avoid having tough conversations with clients, of course, unintentionally as something. Welcome to Propulsion, the weekly show for financial planners and advisors who want to build better, more successful businesses. I'm your host, Francois du Toit, and every week we dive into the practical strategies that matter, from growing your client base and improving your services to developing yourself and your team. Whether you're running your own practice or you're part of a larger firm, you are guaranteed to find actionable insights to help your business thrive. So with that, welcome, and let's get into today's episode. So I'm pleased and excited to welcome our two guests from Gravitas Tax, Emile van der Spy and Wouter de Wit. Both are certified financial planner professionals with over a decade of experience in retirement and tax planning, and together they've helped hundreds of clients retire and have built Gravitas Tax to support advisors with something that can make or break the retirement outcomes, which does tax directive simulations. We're going to get into what that is. Emile and Wouter, welcome to Propulsion Live.
Thanks, Francois.
Thank you for having us.
Good morning. I just caught you there taking a sip. I also need to take a sip of some water, so that's fine. Hope you're both doing well, and warm welcome to the show. And I want to kick off. We've got, again, like a long list of questions and topics and things that I would like to discuss and get your insights on. So let's get cracking. Emile, I'm gonna sort of start with you, and I want to ask, like, just in plain terms, right? Last night I was watching a video about somebody explaining AI agents to a 5-year-old, so, which was brilliant. So now I'm going to ask you the same thing to talk us a little bit through, what is a tax directive and why does it exist? I think people have got different views or different understandings around, but what is the purpose of that? And then also, where do we as advisors and planners encounter that when doing any kind of retirement planning?
Okay, yeah, perfect. I think that's a fantastic starting point. So I think most advisors are familiar with a tax directive. So a tax directive is issued usually on transfer or when a client cashes out funds on a retirement fund. That's issued by SARS, and that's kind of the way that they track the path of how much clients has withdrawn and previously taken. So that's the normal tax directive. So the space we play in is tax directive simulations. So that's very similar to a tax directive. Instead, that we provide the tax directive simulation to the advisor upfront, where that actual directive is kind of provided by SARS at the end of the process, where it's already a bit too late. In Afrikaans, we always say die koel is deur die kerk. Then the tax has already been deducted. The client might be in an uncomfortable position because the tax is maybe a bit more than we planned for. So that's where the benefit of a tax directive simulation comes in. You actually get that tax directive simulation upfront when you're sitting with a client. You request that tax directive simulation, and you get the same information that's provided on the actual tax directive upfront, so you can actually use that, because that's a vital step in the retirement planning process. So you can actually take that information upfront and advise with that information in mind.
Thanks very much, Emile. Yeah, I guess. I mean, you talk about like the information that is necessary for, that's the same as when you would apply for a formal tax directive, right? But that's usually handled by the administrators of the fund. So when you submit your forms, then they take care of the tax directive. So Wouter, what are maybe some of the first three things that you gather? One, to sort of decide, do I need to do a simulation? And then what information is required to be able to do that simulation?
Yeah, thanks, Francois. Yeah, so it's when we do retirement planning, it's simulations is obviously very important, because that's when the client starts making big decisions like paying off debt, planning the income for the next 20, 30 years. So that's important to get that simulation correct perfectly, because a lot of clients wants to pay off some debt and say, okay, this is how much they need. So that is important to gather the lump sum needed, because then we normally work back from that to say, for example, okay, client needs R1 million. Then we'll go and see how much tax is deducted, if any, and then circle back to say, okay, this is how much you need to withdraw from your retirement funds. It's not only applicable on retirement funds. You can clients withdraw if they withdraw from their preservation funds, two-part savings withdrawals, as well as if client passes away. You can see the simulation to plan and update the state duty. There's lots of new exciting legislation on that front to use simulations to better your advice, and also just to stand out a little bit, because especially the retirement space is very competitive. Most clients, they go seek 2 or 3 opinions when retirement planning. So you must try and do something just to be ahead of your competitor, but also providing good advice to the client. So many times we find that advisors don't do a simulation, and then it's over kind of. So the client loses that tax money. He has to plan, he has to do other sources, he has to increase his savings or his monthly income to try and recoup those. So it is a difficult process, and that's why simulation is so important.
Yeah. And Emile, I mean, just on that note, clients, I mean, once it's done, like Wouter has said a couple of times, once it's done, right? There's no going back. And I think that's what we think we still have a chance to say, oh no, there's an IT 88, which means that this client owes SARS money and nobody knew about it. But now SARS knows there's money coming, and now they issue an IT 88. And once that is issued, that has to be deducted as well. So there's no going back. And how often do you see that happening? Because obviously, I mean, there's a reason why you guys came up with, isn't there a better way? Can't we catch it before that happens? So what is the story behind, was there a specific event? Was there a couple of events that led to that realization and saying, Wouter, Emile, we've got to do something?
Yeah, 100%. The need was purely identified in our own businesses. As we started to grow our business, we started to specialize a bit more in retirement planning. And when that happens, obviously deal with a bit more INET with clients. And we just felt it's such it almost didn't feel right just to have that discussion with the client and to be solely dependent on what they tell us with regards to previous withdrawals. And I'll unpack this a bit. First of all, clients, I mean, they don't have an understanding of what is regarded as withdrawal. We've had some funny situations with clients telling us, yeah, they've never been retrenched, but they had a golden handshake, which sounds funny to us maybe as an advisor. But if you think about it, clients don't understand that it's not something they specialize in. It's not something that they are expected to know. So it just felt... it felt very kind of the water is a bit muddy in terms of being solely dependent on what the client tells us and jotting that down in our record of advice to safeguard you as the advisor. But that, at the end of the day, didn't solve the problem. If tax is going to be deducted that we didn't account for, the client is the one that's being negatively influenced. We as the advisor are in a comfortable position, because that's our role as the advisor, to provide that information and to understand how these things work. And as Wouter mentioned previously, the retirement space is so competitive. Clients seek multiple opinions. There's a massive focus on fees. We still feel that there's not enough focus on the tax. Because if you plan for the 550 tax-free, client needs to settle debt, and all of a sudden, because of our IT 88 or because of previous withdrawals, they only receive maybe 400,000. Your whole retirement journey starts on the back foot. A drawdown might need to be adjusted. So we just felt it's such a vitally important part of the process, of the retirement process, and clients hopefully only retire once. So you really need to get it right. So that's when we started exploring in terms of tax directive simulations in general. We felt the solutions in the market were quite old-fashioned, call center-based, paper-based. We know as practicing financial planners, we want information accurate, efficient. We didn't want to duplicate a system. So we really tried to build something that's simplistic and just gives you as the advisor the information in an accurate, efficient manner, so you can provide the best advice to clients.
And Wouter, thanks, Emile. So, I mean, here's a question, Wouter. So, would it be best practice, okay, to just do a simulation every time a lump sum is going to be taken from there? Should I just go and sit and do the simulation and just pick a number and just see what the simulation says? Or should there be planning and then a simulation and then adjustments and then another simulation? Like, what does that journey look like from a practical point of view for someone? What would be best practice for somebody using this sort of process?
Yeah, thanks, Francois. And Emile and I have had that debate a million times. And I think what we try to do in our own practice is almost do that right in the start of the journey. So when we get a disclosure letter or a phase introduction letter, we try to get our records up to date so we can do a simulation as well. Because even if the client's not retiring, it's a nice relating factor to a client to be able to tell them, look here, I'm going to look into your tax as well on a more light version than go looking at RP5s and SARS e-filing. Because it's related to retirement and withdrawals and retirement funds, but because, as you said earlier, it displays the IT 88, it does give you a quick snapshot of, okay, there might be something, Mr. Client, let's go look at it. Because as Riddle said, sometimes our advisors, we miss that boat completely, and we need to bring it back to we can help you, the client. We're not there just to make a fee, and we really want to help these clients. And so we almost suggested every time for a client, or at least every time in the beginning of the process when there is a withdrawal event, retirement, death, retrenchment, and even now saving spot. And Emile always uses this example where saving spot is still relatively new. So you initially would just take it to get access for financial situation, etc. But now it's becoming part of a tax planning tool. For example, Emile did a situation with one of his clients where they needed money for a wedding, and then he had to look at his current preservation fund or his current savings pot withdrawal at his employer. And then because they taxed on different tax tables, Emile ran both simulations to actually go check which is the best for the client. Now, that is advice. That's how you deliver and almost justify that you as a financial planner can give good advice. And also, if you compare us, for example, to, because sometimes from our industry does still get a bad rep a lot of times. So it's these type of things that we can do to increase our value to clients, that we become more of a professional industry, like accountants and tax specialists and lawyers, etc., where they almost might feel a bit more professional. And that's the way we want to go. And we'll give you a bit of more insight later on what we've done with the Financial Planning Institute to try and get that right.
Yeah, and we'll definitely get back to that, because that is an amazing benefit that is actually offered to the FPI members. So if you are FPI members, stay tuned. Let's talk about two-pot. You were talking a little bit about the savings component, like it was called a pot. Now it's a component. Like I can't keep up with the names, but it's it's a different way that the tax works from that perspective. And I think there's also, I mean, we've done so many training on that with so many people over the last 2 years. I mean, even before it came into law. And there is continuously confusion around specifically the tax. And now there's a vested component and there's a savings component and there's a retirement component. Like all of this. So here's a loaded question now. Wouter, I'm going to ask you this question. So if you think about that, can Gravitas tax help in the sense that I don't have to know anything. All I want to do is get a number. So I want to know that the client wants to withdraw, is planning to withdraw X amount. We run this, but I don't need to worry about exactly the technical ways of what happens. You know, what can I do with a vested component? What can I do with it? Like, does the tool replace the need for that knowledge? Is basically my loaded question.
Yeah, that's a great question, Francois. And I think it takes it back to how we did it in the past. So before there was simulation systems, it was those manual calculations that we had to go look at either on the employee or GPF type of funds, Formula C, or this amount plus this table, etc. So it already just takes out all of that. You don't have to do that calculation. So you know your calculation is accurate every time. So that's important. Currently, the system does sit on a savings pot on one component, as we know that it gets taxed on the marginal rate, and then the vested component that sits in the normal retirement tables. So currently, you have to draw simulation on both, but that's actually a fantastic idea. We will investigate that to try and blend and help with advice. We try not to really give advice because our client is advisors, and in the end they have the relationship with the client, so they know better what to do. So we just try to give them the information, empower them, so that they in end can do what's correct with the client because they have the relationship. And we're very big advocates of not steering too much, because the advisor knows the client best. They know the full picture, and they see all the chess pieces on the board, and they would know what to do. But that is a good idea that we will definitely investigate, and I think that's maybe even something that me and like Gravitas and TaxSpace can collaborate on, because we obviously know your tax tool is very does those type of things. So that's maybe something that we can build for the industry together.
Yeah, for sure. And then Emile, just from an admin angle, right? It's one thing doing the simulation; it's another thing getting the transaction through. So, are there any specific best practice? Like again, like do you have like a checklist or steps that you tend to follow to ensure that? Look, it's one thing to ask for the simulation; we get the simulation, but then we want to make sure that the transaction, if we decide to go ahead at that point, that goes as quickly as possible, because I know there's always some delay on a SaaS side or whatever. Like, do you have any advice from that point of view?
Yeah, so I think that goes back to one of your previous questions as well, in terms of, does Gravitas Tax only assist with the simulation? So I think that's another space that we play in, is actually first of all the compliance side. We've seen about 70% of our simulations requested by users are for retirement planning. So we definitely see it as a value add specifically in that space. But then the other 30% is comprised of pre-retirement withdrawals from either the savings pot or the vested pot or death simulations. And we see that more on the compliance side, because 9 times out of 10, if a client's withdrawing pre-retirement from a preservation fund, they might need funds. And that just safeguards you doing that transaction, because that's not as much planning to say. So it definitely plays a big role on the compliance side. And then also a big value add, especially on the retirement side, is the first step when you upload a client is adding the tax number and the ID number. So we actually cross-reference that with SARS with what they have on record on their side. And that's a very important step. which causes the actual directive to fail if the client's details are not up to date. So that's something that not a lot of people actually know, is that SARS actually have two systems. They've got their normal e-filing system and the directive side. So sometimes it might look like the clients have sent us numerous occasions, they've sent us a screenshot of their e-filing profile, but all of the details seems to be up to date, but then it might not be up to date on the directive side with an old ID number or a different tax number. And that causes that actual directive to fail, which, especially when the client is waiting for retirement income, I mean, we take a lot of time to meticulously plan that to ensure that the client receives the income and the correct stage. Obviously, you don't want them to sit a month without income. And that when happens a lot of the time, that actual directive then fails, ID tax number is not up to date, and that can take up to 21 days with SARS to get that information updated. So with the simulation, as I mentioned, we do the simulation up front, and that will allow us to identify that upfront while we still in the initial stages of the planning process. Documents still needs to be submitted, so the client's got more than enough time to chat to the accountant, chat to SARS, to make sure by the time we get to that actual directive stage that that's actually a seamless process. So essentially, it goes back to the simulation gives us everything upfront that we usually get on the back foot on the actual directive, where we've still got time to plan and fix and correspond with the client. We're not in a panic state to kind of alleviate that stress on us as the advisor and also on the client.
Emil, just a quick follow-up question. Is there a limit to how many simulations I can do for a client, or is there a limit on how quickly I can, like if I have to do, let's say I'm sitting there doing planning and I want to do simulations, like, is there a timing limit? Is there how often I can do it, how many I can do, etc.? Are there any limitations in terms of that?
So no, not at all. And I think that's also one of our unique selling points. A lot of our competitors out there, or the providers that offer tax directive simulations, they'll limit you to 1 or 2 simulations specific to the funds that sits on their platform. So let's use an example. The client's got 10 million to retire with XYZ, maybe 9 million in a pension fund, and $1 million with a provider that offers tax directive simulation. They'll only allow you to do a simulation for that amount in the preservation fund. So a simulation on R1 million, if the client's got 10 million in retirement, is not going to get you that far, because we need to have that holistic approach. And that's one of the core foundations we built Gravitas Tax on. We wanted to have that independent view to ensure that we can give accurate advice. And with that being said, you can also run 5, 10, 20 simulations. If you request it now, it takes about 2 to 3 hours to come through. So all of them will come through as soon as you've requested it. If you want to give the client different kind of options, a lot of our users like to do that.
Yeah. Thanks, Emil. So both there's always some, I think when we think about lump sum tax, we think about the typical thing. Somebody's retiring, somebody's they resigned and they're going to withdraw their funds, or they got retrenched, etc. And those are the main cases. But there's also some other things that often happens and that people ask our advice on. Some of them being divorces, some of them being I'm emigrating. So can you do things for that? And then also living annuities. When somebody passes away, is it possible to also do simulations on living annuities for death?
Yeah, thanks, Francois. Yeah, that's a very good question. And basically the answer is yes to all, because as we know, it basically falls on 2 tables. It's the smaller table, so withdrawal table, and the retirement table. And as we know, legislatively, all of those withdrawals fall into either one of those 2. So yes, the system accommodates for all of that. We don't go, say, per event, like, okay, divorce, etc., etc. So again, we allow the advisor to give the advice and to see which of those options it falls into, and then do those retirement withdrawals. So that's the quick answer to the question. It is important to kind of play with the system a bit. You'll get used to it and see what works and what doesn't work, and when to use a savings pot and when to use a a public sector calculation, etc., etc. So it's very, very simple, and you'll get into it very quickly. There's like 5 inputs, and it takes you, I think, a minute to do a simulation, not even. So that's important. And it's also important to touch on the excess contributions when it comes to estate duty or estate planning, rather, and as well as income tax returns or income tax on your living annuity. So what I mean by that is, let's say, or let's take a real example. One of our advisors, they were at a retirement deal for MD of a company, 25 million rand in the retirement fund, more or less. And because of the individual's high tax bracket, they were adding much more to their pension fund over the 350,000 annual limit, and their excess contributions built. So when that individual retired, he actually had 4 million rand in excess contributions. So if you draw a simulation like that and you see there's 4 million rand excess contributions, it just enhances your planning and your strategies that you can apply. For example, the client can take everything out in cash. He can draw that as a living annuity, afterwards tax-free, or a life annuity, just out of the planning perspective. And because we're in a very competitive environment, it also sets you apart from the competition. So the specific advisor, there were 3 of them up for the same MD. It's a big client, but obviously the advisor using Gravitas Tax got the deal, if you want to say it like that, because he could offer better advice. It's not only just the options on the 4 million, but what they did is they, for example, moved it in a voluntary purchase annuity, lowering the effective tax rate, so he could withdraw a much better income with lower tax, because using all the information that sits with SARS, where we previously didn't have that information. I went through that very quickly, so I hope that makes sense.
Yeah, completely. And it does again go to like knowledge is power, right? So, or information in that instance is very, very powerful. And also, I mean, imagine, because that information is like, it is available. But one, you don't know if it's the information that you have, whether it's up to date. You have to go and collate all that information. And here, like, you do it. Like, so when you do these simulations, Emil, do you have to send any supporting documentation with the simulation, or is it purely like digital? Here's the tax number, here's the amount, boom, you send it off. Like, is there anything needed to go with the request for the simulation?
Yeah, so very, very important question. So consent is obviously very important in terms of the disclosure letter. So that's the only requirement we ask for on our side. We do audits on our side to ensure that everybody is in line and requesting the information with the correct authority. And then it's actually funny that you mentioned that with regards to simulations, it's just one of those things that you need to really do upfront, as Kobus is mentioning here in the comments. Even if a client says that they haven't previously taken any funds, it's just always important just to rather have that simulation than not to have it.
Yeah, brilliant. If we think about, like, I just maybe want to reiterate this a little bit. I mean, you guys can decide actually who wants to answer this, right? So we have touched on this during the conversation, but I just want, for clarity purposes, if we think about the entire advice journey, right? When it comes to somebody either is going to retire, or they are going to access funds from a retirement fund, or somebody has passed away and there's funds payable. In that journey, can you talk us just maybe through, like, from the beginning, just right through, just high level, like, what are the steps, what are the documents, what are the sort of things that you look for, and how does, doing a simulation then, just to reiterate, then add that value? Because I think what's very important here, Wouter, is what you mentioned, is that it sets you apart because you have access to information that the competing advisor or planner does not have access to, because they're not maybe using the same system, or even if they've got the system, they maybe didn't use it because it seemed like, oh, you've never made a withdrawal. So that kind of thing. So I don't know, like, which one of you would want to. I'm just going to throw it out there and say, who wants to take us through that process?
Yeah, I can jump in there. I think the process stays 90% the same. I think what the tax directive does, and it's actually quite a simple answer, it just gives you that reaffirmation that the options that you're discussing with the client is actually what's going to happen. So typically you would go see the client, discuss their requirements and ambitions for retirement, see what funds they have available. Then the first step for me would be when I get back to the office, and I think this is where it adds a lot of value, being a practicing financial planner ourselves and using the tool. I think we're constantly trying to improve what we've got. As Wouter mentioned previously, we're very open to feedback and open to suggestions what we can improve on. But yeah, when I get back to the office, I'll typically request the simulation, and that kind of the outlines of the picture would be there. But I think what the simulation does, it colors that picture in completely in terms of, so if we access funds over here, this is what's going to happen. If we access 550, what needs to happen next when that simulation comes back? It might give us a prompt to say that there's an IT88. Then I know my next steps would be to speak to the client to go and check how much that IT88 is. Is it 100 Rand or is it 100,000 Rand? Because that's going to significantly change the plan. And as I mentioned, then we're still in discussions with the client. We're still deciding on exactly what we're going to do, and we can plan accordingly. So I think that's in essence, it's a tax directive simulation. It's a very simple part of the process, but it's such a vital part of the process. I think it just gives you and the client that reaffirmation that what we are planning for is actually going to happen.
Yeah, brilliant. Wouter, just to maybe get us to the end, I know that you recently launched a member benefit for FPI members as well, simply because I am a member. Unfortunately, I'm not a practicing person anymore, but you want to share a little bit about what that member benefit is and how it works?
Yeah, thanks, Francois. And yeah, so in a nutshell, we partnered up with the financial planning institution or FPI to give members additional value. So our agreement is that all certified financial planners that are FPI members can use the system for free until the end of the year. Again, it's trying to empower our advisors and getting them to use it, and as well as give that benefit to the client, because we are really trying to get the industry more professional and getting the industry more access to information so that we can give better advice. So we're trying to make it free for in some way, and this is our first step in that we're going to make it free for the CFP FPI members till the end of the year.
Brilliant stuff, just like that. Fantastic. Wouter Emile, thank you very much. If people want to learn more about Gravitas Tax, for those who are not using it yet, what would be their first or next step to get started?
Yeah, I think easiest, reach out to us, can reach out to either one of us, reach out to our hello@Gravitas Tax email address, or you can simply register on the website. We do offer 1 or 2 free simulations for the guys just to test. As Wouter mentioned there, I think we are trying to kind of get the industry on board. Tax directive simulations is a relatively new concept. It only came into effect in 2019. So there is still a massive learning curve. And that's why we appreciate partnerships like with yourself, Francois, with the FPI, advisors like Quibus promoting us. I can see I think it's Neil in the comments as well, saying he's doing a simulation as he's watching this. I think that gives us a lot of confidence, but there is it's still compared to how old the industry is, it's still a relatively new concept. So there's still a lot of work to be done.
Yeah, awesome stuff. Gents, thank you very much. Really appreciate the time, and thank you for joining us, and well done on building a fantastic product. And yeah, I would have wanted to ask what else are you busy with, but we'll keep that for the next one because I'm pretty sure you're always up to something. But just thank you very much for spending your time with us, and thank you for being friends of Propulsion. And yeah, we look forward to seeing you again soon.
Thanks, Francois.
Thank you, Gordon.
Fantastic. Thank you very much. And thank you for the comments and all of that. People are saying, well, yeah, using it as you're listening to this and the sort of, I know that the experience is great with Gravitas. I know that the information is extremely valuable because I've dealt with so many issues in the past and there's nothing you can do. Once it's done, it's done. So having a simulation before you do anything is best practice. It is worth it. And you would expect to pay thousands and thousands of rands for something like this. It is this. Like that's not the case. So it's very affordable, but extremely valuable. So go have a look at that. So my guest next week is Samantha Sparks, and I'm really looking forward to talk to her. She have once navigated divorce and single motherhood with deep financial fears of her own, and today she's helping with personal financial coaching. And she helps women build confidence, clarity, and practical money skills. So I'm looking forward to talking to her about how does she do that, how does she get into it, and what is it that that we can all learn from her journey and what she's doing. So looking forward to that next week. But until then, stay safe, be blessed, and prosper. You know the story, and please stay curious and continue to raise the bar. Thank you very much for being here. Thank you for liking and subscribing, and we'll see you all next time. Love you lots. Thanks for joining us on Propulsion. If you found value in today's episode, then there's plenty more where this came from. You can find all our previous episodes right here on the podcast as well as on our YouTube channel. And talking about the YouTube channel, we go live every single Friday at 8 a.m. until 9 a.m. and we host many different guests, and we also talk about very interesting topics. And on the live show, there's also some incredible segments hosted by some of the most well-known and influential financial planning professionals. So you are most welcome to join us every single Friday. Put it in your diary and we will see you there. And on that note, also please do check out propulsion.co.za/community for all of the goodness and learn more about how you can become part of our amazing community and how that would benefit you, your business, and your career. So on that note, stay curious and keep raising the bar.